Now, this week's episode of Arrow, I felt was inferior to The Flash, which I thought would be the other way around. I'll explain that in a second, but when I heard that Deathstroke was coming back to Arrow, at least for one episode, I was thinking, oh, this is gonna be the episode to turn season 3 around. It's just gonna blow the Flash completely out of the water. That did not happen, and I'll explain why. But first of all, I have to say that I did enjoy this episode. It was a good episode, but there were some major problems that held it back. But I'll get to that in a second. The plot of this one is that Oliver and Thea go back to the island at the request of Malcolm to sort of train, and unbeknownst to them, for some reason, Malcolm has his own agenda, and basically it's all a trap. He releases Slade Wilson, who, as you know, is in the little prison bunker in the island run by Argus. Malcolm releases him onto the island, and he's with the intention of him trying to kill Oliver and Thea. And basically, the objective is for Oliver to regain his killer instinct. So that's the little trap. Now, they really should have known that Malcolm was going to pull something. He's really shown no qualms about putting these two in danger before. But I was thinking, oh wow, we're going to get an awesome villain for this episode, because Manu Bennett's coming back as Slade Wilson, and given which full on video I'm doing next, I was pretty hyped. So with that being said, what was wrong with this episode? Well, immediately what I liked is that there wasn't really a whole lot of present-day Starling City. The present-day stuff mainly took place on the island with Oliver and Thea. And it was a nice character-driven episode with these two. And it was really a good time to let these characters breathe. Not really having them try to stop crimes or anything. They're just on this island. They're together. They're training. They're spending a few days there, and yeah, again, they can breathe. They can talk. They can develop. So that was actually fairly interesting stuff, and by extension, I'm actually kind of warming up to Thea, and I think the reason for that is because she's not nearly as ignorant as she used to be. And with these past few episodes, she's undergone some pretty significant advancements in terms of who she is willing to put her trust in, and how she perceives some people. So given that, and how she's, hey, maybe I have a scumbag of a human being for a dad, and at the same time she's really starting to see Oliver for who he is, and I'm actually kind of starting to turn around on her character. I'm actually sort of relenting a bit and saying to myself, okay, I don't wish death on you anymore. Now, Laurel, I still hate, but again, I'll get to that in a second. Now, with that being said, there was also plenty of opportunities for flashbacks. However, the flashbacks themselves didn't really seem to connect all that well to the present day stuff. Normally, when they do flashbacks on this show, it connects narratively or in terms of character to something that's happening in the present day. But this episode, as far as I could tell, there wasn't really a whole lot to it, aside from being called The Return, and in the flashbacks, Oliver and Maceo actually have to sneak into Starling City to get something, some MacGuffin. Oh yeah, they're trying to follow China White, played once again by Kelly Hu. So that actually provides ample opportunities to see a lot of the characters from season 1 again, or some of the recurring characters, how they appeared in season 1, because Thea is a schoolgirl again. Laurel is just now getting a job as I forget what she's trying to get some job in some other city, and Tommy is still alive. Tommy is sort of trying to transition from the the rich kid playboy, to how we saw him in season 1, which was, really, really put together, a really nice, good guy. So, so yeah, it was good to see Colin Donnell again. I've actually kind of missed him on this show. He was a really likable character, I thought, and well acted. So, and with that being said, the flashback stuff was done well. I was really getting into, the flashback Oliver, the Oliver of 5 years ago, really grappling, given this new temptation, the very logical temptation of, of abandoning all of this Argus stuff, all of this stuff that he's put up with up until now, and just going home, just walking in the door, just interacting with the people that he's missed. Very logical temptation, very understandable motivation for the conflict in the flashbacks, and actually very poignant use of Robert Queen. Robert Queen leaves a video recording and basically inspires Oliver to go back and help Maceo against China White. So, yeah, I thought the flashback stuff was really well done on its own, but again, the issue is that it didn't really connect to much in the present day. The present day stuff was pretty much entirely separate from the flashback stuff. And in conjunction, they actually kind of wasted Deathstroke in this one. Yeah, it was good to see him again, and Manu Bennett still plays him really, really well. But he was used as a plot device. Not only did he not appear much in the episode, he's just kind of periodically popped up for some antagonistic dialogue and the occasional fight scene, but in addition, he was used as a plot device. He was an obstacle for Oliver and Thea to overcome, and not much else. He's not back on the show by any means. This was a guest appearance. It was almost a bit part or a cameo, to be honest, which was pretty disappointing, I'm not going to lie. Again, he was great when he was there, but he wasn't there enough, and he wasn't as integral to the story as I would have liked. Especially given all he did in season 2. So that was kind of underwhelming, to be honest. Honestly, the best scene with him came at the end, where they put him back in his cell. I'm so glad they did not kill him off, because that would have actually legitimately pissed me off. But when they put him back in his cell, they actually afford some time to talk, because he gets some time to catch up with Oliver, albeit a very short time. But he basically looks at Thea, and he says, was it Merlin who sent you guys here? Interesting man to do that to his own daughter. And yeah, just the little exchanges of getting inside their heads that Slade had, I actually thought was some of the best stuff that he was given in this episode, and some of the most interesting stuff in the present day. Aside from Oliver and Thea, which again, I bought their brother and sister relationship more in this episode than I have in several of the episodes leading up to this. And again, Thea, I'm actually kind of turning around on. My opinion is actually might be a more positive one in the future if this episode is any indication, because she's finally wising up to Malcolm Merlin, and again, she's not nearly as ignorant as she used to be. She's actually more informed, and Oliver finally telling her, hey, you killed Sarah, and seeing her deal with that, I actually thought was really well done from a dramatic standpoint, from a performance standpoint. And yeah, this episode was good. It just has some pretty major problems that made it honestly inferior to The Flash this week. But I do have to give it points. Now I am by no means the only one who hates Laurel on this show, because now even her dad hates her. I'm sure not really. I'm sure they're gonna make up at some point, but finally they address something that I had a problem with from the very beginning, which was Laurel keeping it a secret from her father that her sister was dead. I mean, that was by no means her secret to keep, and her father actually calls her out on it. Props to Paul Blackthorne, by the way. He played this scene beautifully. and he basically acted Katie Cassidy under the table. But basically he basically said, we had a trust. We had I thought we could I thought we had this bond, but you broke it. And she was like, I think we need to go to one of those meetings. And he was like, yeah, you go to the one over there, and I'll go to the one on 4th. So the fact that he is actually washing his hands, at least for the time being, of Laurel, rightfully so, actually provides some potentially interesting material for this character up to this point, because up until this point, he's been the guy who has always been the shoulder for her to cry on. I mean, even when everyone else turned their back on her in season 2 when she dabbled into pill popping and alcoholism, he was always behind her. He was always supporting her. So the fact that now that even he is turning his back on her, really a change for the better in terms of providing us with some fresh narrative. But again, I could just be really sick. So yeah, that's about all I got for this week's episode of Arrow. I believe we are getting a new episode next week. I don't think we're getting a new episode of The Flash next week, but Arrow, I think we still are, and we're finally going to get some more Ra's al Ghul, who we've barely seen in this season. In the entire season thus far, he's been reduced to cameos. The main villain of the season is barely in it, so hopefully the rest of the season will make up for that, but we'll see.